For most people, by now, if they fancied seeing Joker Folie à Deux at cinemas, they would have been by this point, and most likely have been very disappointed. As we see here, the Rotten Tomato scores, both the critics and the audience score are sat at 32%, and that is quite rare. Usually there is a difference between the two. So what's going on here? Why is it a 3 out of 10 for both critics and audience members? Well, it's a musical. And it was advertised as that. I mean, many people in the film space would have known that going in. But for many people who aren't, clued up on all the news regarding the film industry, they'd have gone in thinking, okay, this is just a sequel to a film I liked in Joker back when it came out, 5 years ago. So for many audience members, like I saw on the opening night, they were sat around confused, like, what's going on? Like, why are they singing? What's happening here? And I'm sure you might have seen that at your screenings. There were quite a few walkouts. I would say about 15 people left at my screening before the finish. And at the end as well, people were saying, looking around at each other like, wow, first film, 10 out of 10. This film, 3 out of 10. And obviously that's been shown here to be the case. But was the music completely awful? No. There were a couple of sequences I actually enjoyed. And I think in the film, if they had maybe a couple, that would have been okay. People can stomach that. But it's when it happens and it actually happens within a scene, you're really getting involved in, you're getting gripped by it. Like there's one way he's getting interviewed by a reporter, Steve Coogan's character. It's actually quite into that scene at the time because okay, I'm holding on to every line here. But then Joker starts to Arthur starts to sing. I'm like, oh my god, why? I was so with you there, and you just sort of ruined it because there are times when you don't need that. Like the scene which a lot of people have enjoyed is the Gary Puddles scene in the courtroom, and that is probably the standout scene. Why? Well, there's no music in that scene, so they didn't actually ruin that scene. But it's all good having musical scenes if it can complement, but most of the time it didn't. It actually conflicted with the movie. It's been well documented that a lot of money has been spent on this film, with it needing around $450 million just to break even. And as we see here, it looks to lose around $150 to $200 million at the box office, which means it's a huge bomb for Warner Brothers. And this is after a decent start to the year as well, with Dune Part 2 and Godzilla x Kong doing pretty well for the company. So with the decision to go down the musical route, it's absolutely subverted expectations. No film that did that was Star Wars The Last Jedi. But there are some comparisons and some differences here. One of the differences being that this film did make a lot of money. It got a $1.3 billion box office result on a $300 million production budget, so it made a lot of money. And it's also a sequel that people were expecting. It was the second film of a trilogy. Everyone was excited after Force Awakens to see the next chapter. So there was that built-in anticipation. Whereas with Joker, a lot of people, including myself, thought that was a great one-and-done movie. I don't really want a sequel. But in terms of where they compare, both films don't give the general public what they want from this Joker film or from this Star Wars film. They both look great. Like I think cinematography-wise, both movies are pretty gorgeous to look at. And there's also bits within the film which I did enjoy, even if there are only a handful. But there's also another thing here. Both of these movies have a dedicated little fan base who will always defend the movie and say, actually, it was pretty good. What are you talking about? I think there's a big one for this one, but Joker 2 also has one as well, saying people just don't understand the film yet. In a few years' time, you'll finally get what's going on. You'll get on our level. Like saying you're not clever enough to understand it, which I think is completely ridiculous because that's just saying like, oh, these musical themes are so sort of opaque of what it's actually meaning. People don't really get the full depth of them, and it's like only in time will that become clear. But actually, if you take away the musical scenes, take away everything, and strip it back, this film hasn't really done a lot. Like with the character of Arthur Fleck, we do a lot. We're in Arkham with him, go to the courtroom, have the whole trial. And he's got the relationship with Harley, but again, Harley's really badly built as a character, and the ending of the film, I think, is the biggest fuck you, basically, to the audience as well. And that brings in my next point. Another comparison here is how they treat a main character. In Star Wars' case, it was Luke Skywalker, and obviously in Joker's case, it was Arthur Fleck, because Todd Phillips, the director, wasn't happy that certain people liked that film for the wrong reasons in his mind, so he wanted to make sure people understood that this is why you're supposed to enjoy the film, this is why you're supposed to not like this character, and we're going to tear him down as much as I can do. But look, I completely understand that everyone has a right to an opinion. You may have thought Joker worked, you may have thought The Last Jedi worked. Because the thing is, with these films, they do take risks, and some people will enjoy the risks that they took. But it reminds me a little bit of how we saw with Disney animated classics, where there'll be a classic for a reason, people love them, but then they'll make some sequels and they won't be anywhere near as good in terms of quality, but they'll still have a little fan base anyway because they'll enjoy the directions they took in those films. At the end of the day, though, this all comes down to money. It is a business game, and Warner Brothers put too much faith in director Todd Phillips. Like, his heart said to go for this different direction, but no one thought to think of their head here because that was a stupid decision. It's a complete misfire. The film is a misfire. Like, it's got an 81% drop in its second weekend. That's terrible. It puts it amongst those like Morbius and the Marvels. And I don't think this film is quite to that level. I think it's bad, but I think even that one Gary Puddles scene in the courtroom was worth my time way more than that whole runtime of those other films. So, but it's still, I'll still probably give it around 2 stars if I had to give it a star rating, like I'll probably do on Letterboxd. But I think with the film having such a huge drop, it shows how word of mouth has completely destroyed it. People have gone to see the film, paid a good money for it, paid the ticket, got all the popcorn, sat in their seat, and thought, "What the hell is this rubbish? What is this crap?" And then they might have walked out halfway through, told all their friends, and they have told their friends, "Oh yeah, by the way, Bob went to go and see Joker 2. Apparently it's crap. Don't waste your time on it." And that spreads like wildfire, especially with social media these days. So it's not a surprise that it had such a huge drop like that, because it's not just like, it's a difference of opinion that, oh yeah, this is a bit bad because I don't like this theme or I don't like this actor or whatever else. It's a musical is like a big, big red flag for fans of comic book films, especially fans of the first film. Like, it's not even like it's an original movie. You've already got a fan base built from that first film who are already used to what to expect from the next film. So to completely sort of do a 180 on them, it's like, what the hell is happening here? So in terms of the future, I'm not sure any studio is going to put their full faith behind Todd Phillips again. I think, I'm sure he'll probably get work, but there'll be much more control from above. Joaquin Phoenix, I think, again, he was good in the film again as Arthur Fleck, but he's not been doing so well in the media recently because of pulling out of films at the last minute. So, his name's gone down a bit in terms of, can we trust this person? But then we also have Lady Gaga, which is a big one, really, because there's a lot of cut content, there's lots of film they did around New York, I think, and people saw her like kissing a girl in the crowd and all that sort of thing, and that wasn't in the film. Lots of stuff which was shot was not in the film, so you could say, why not release a Gaga cut? But I don't think that's going to fix anything like potentially the Schneider cut did or didn't. I don't know. I wasn't a massive fan of that either, to be honest. But with Lady Gaga, her acting career, we had A Star Is Born. She was great for that, obviously, using her musical talents there. Then House of Gucci, which I actually thought she was one of the positives from that film, but it's still a pretty bad movie. And obviously then we got this film here. So what does she do next? I think maybe take a break, maybe focus more on music for a little bit and then come back. Because I think she still has some acting talent there, but she just needs to get the right project now. After A Star Is Born, it's just gone as 2 bad ones in a row. So yeah, this is obviously terrible news for Joker 2 and Warner Brothers, but my biggest concern is actually for the future of cinema, because after this whole incident, it means people are going to be less likely to take a risk on the next franchise film because they've been pissed off so much by this one. And now with films being released on digital so quickly after they're released in cinema, like only a month, they can wait. Why not wait a couple of weeks and just watch it at home so they can switch it off if they don't like it? And we even seen with Joker 2, this film is actually releasing on digital on October 29th, less than a month after its release. I mean, that's unbelievable. I'm a Cineworld member, so I pay a monthly subscription to see all the films in the month. So if I do see a couple of bad ones, at least I see probably a couple of good ones to make up for it. But I know I'm in the minority here, so most people will probably just watch a film at the cinema maybe every few months. And so this will be a huge disappointment for them to have seen Joker 2 be so terrible in their eyes. So what is the plan? I mean, does that mean you're not supposed to take any risks going forward? No, but maybe make more calculated risks, like stop making risks on sequels of films that people have obviously got enjoyment for and got an idea of what they want to see next in the sequel. If you want to take a risk, take it on an original film with a less budget. I mean, a film like Joker 2, which had a budget of $200 million, that's probably not the film to make a big risk like this on. In conclusion, though, on my thoughts on Joker Folie à Deux, I thought the acting was to a decent standard. The cinematography was great, like I mentioned earlier. I thought the supporting characters as well, I quite enjoyed them, especially Brendan Gleeson as one of the prison guards. But it was just a complete misfire of what this film was supposed to be. It felt so worthless. It felt like a film which was less than a proper sequel and more so an extension, an unnecessary extension of that first film. And it's trying to right the wrongs which the director thought were the wrongs that people took from that original film. So yeah, I don't hate it, but I was really frustrated with it. But of course, let me know all your thoughts down below. Subscribe for more, and if you want to watch another review, on screen we have a couple of options for you. One film is amazing, one film is crap. Find out which is which.